and how we might collaborate on. And along the way, I'd like to hear a little bit from you all. So who provides your electricity? What is your utility? What do they talk about in terms of their, what do they talk about? Interesting. Sorry. All right, so one of the structures that a utility can have is a rural electric co-op. And across the whole United States, they make up about 50% of the, cover about 50% of the landscape of electrical utilities. In the North Mid region, way more than 56%. How many of you are served by a rural electric co-op? The rural electric cooperatives are governed by a local board. How many of you have participated in electing members to your board of directors of the cooperative? Good. An unusual group of people across the country. I think the average participation rate in those sections is around 5 or 6%. So it's the thing to get all these folks who are your electric. This is the distribution, right? This is sort of from the customer's point of view, then with your utility providers. And every state in the, probably every state, but every state in our wind region has an organization that is the association of rural electric cooperatives. My slides later and around those like there are also municipal utilities. Cities provide electric. They also often provide water. Is anyone in here served by a municipal utility? Partially, but not for electric. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean everything. Yes, I'm thinking of an electric utility in particular. Less and less common, it seems. And again, there are a lot of in each of those states that provide that distribution at the local level. Most municipal utilities don't do their own, like that to get power from someone and never distribute it. So they get it from sales stores. There's kind of an interesting arrangement in Dakota Power Company. I live in northern Minnesota. That is the generation and transition utility. And 11 rural co-ops and 12 municipalities were members of that generation utility. Utilities, municipal utilities, and also get it from other utilities. And generate some of it like my father. And there are industrial utilities, companies that provide electricity. How many of you are served by an industrial? Yeah. Then I found this listing by state, and I found all the ones that serve 7 states. That is one of those. And they have whether it's an investor owned or a municipal or a rural electric co-op, each of those utilities has basically a monopoly in the area they serve. Designated. This shows DNT stands for generation and transmission. Especially the electric co-ops and then some municipals that are associated, work together. So that yellow area up at the border of North Dakota and Minnesota, that's the Dakota power system, that's my house. Coal mines in the middle of North Dakota. Here we are in northwest Iowa. See the corn belt, that yellow piece called corn belt. That's the right here, which is connected to basin. That's coming from the level of the utility, right? The power source and the transmission are handled at the scale, then the local distribution happens at the local level. Yeah, so rural electric cooperatives, um, I, I don't know, I just don't know, but okay. I'll do some investigation. Another of the big, TNT is. Yeah, that's a good, that's something. Yeah, this, touchstone. A lot of cooperatives have that touchstone energy cooperative, logo. So again, this is, Corn Belt is listed here again. It covers a lot of, basic electric cooperative covers a lot of ground. Quite a bit. Then all of those generating and transmission utilities are connected to the grid through these regional operating independent service operators in regions. So across the North Wind District or the North Wind region here, we have several states with a lot of MISO, mid-mountain independent service operator area. The brownish color is the Southwest Pool, also pretty common in this area. And looks like the piece part of Missouri. So those are the organizations that help make transition and do a lot of what we call wheeling, right? Moving power along. And I just thought it was worthwhile to, yeah.
That's no energy, so that's electric cooperatives across 46.
Almost in the states, so widespread. The as we're talking about promoting electrification, we're mostly working on example distribution utility. But I think sort of seeing these layers also helps you think about what are the constraints or the priorities that they're responding to. So we are at Lakeside Lab. That's the Corn Belt Power Cooperative in dark colors there. And they have an agreement with Basin Electric, so everything that they generate, they sell to Basin, and everything that they purchase from Basin. So there's some buying and selling back and forth. And then there are several 9 cooperatives. We're in the right here is the Iowa Lakes Electric Co-op region. And this is part of this part of the country that's in that. Then of course, we think about our work on the permitting side and this conversation about getting on the transition. This shows you those different utilities and lots of interconnections. And we're better out here than a lot of in terms of having connections. I mean, the doing this stuff intertwined to some transition here. It's useful for me when I go to my local district meetings, like new managers, show up and people from info will show up, so they're talking about how they can, certain streets and I just that's the way they know services. When electrification was named as one of these priorities that CCL was working on, I suppose we actually first had um, one of our CCL members was previously the Colorado Electric Property Board, so then it's connected to that cooperative. Everyone in the Bemidji chapter is either a customer of the Trinity Electric Cooperative, or they live in town, there's a problem, those are the utilities in the area. And those two utilities, is on an industrial utility, it's a pretty small one. Headquartered in Ferguson, Minnesota, service mostly in North Dakota and eastern North Dakota. So we had one of them just saying, hey, we're interested in electrification and efficiency. What do you think about it? How are you thinking about these things? And at every meeting that I've ever been to with having reliability and affordability are the things that they talk about. Right? They also offer incentives for efficiency, and they think about efficiency both in terms of your home, but also how at the utility scale, their ability to manage the load is really also kind of a measure of efficiency. Make sure we're putting that energy to use up in the right time. Load control helps them. I mean, it's economic efficiency, right? They can get those electrons load control and rates and some bits and that is place. How many of you participate in load control? Okay. I agree. What's also been really clear at recent annual meetings is the increasing demand, not developing, or the country that isn't developing all that quickly up in northern Minnesota. That's really normal, right? This are certainly utilities. But between data centers and simply modest city electrification of vehicles, increasing demand, and there's a need. And I'm talking consultant on EV arguments. I think it was very 6 years old. So, one of the helping to on that. What's not on that list?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see, more on, but encouraging. I don't even have this, I haven't ever found anybody say that this is a good idea or a bad idea, but I guess it's a tendency to get for a while. That there could be, that would, guarantee when it would arrive. Or maybe it's per month, but no promise as to when it would arrive. And it becomes homeowners business for the home on the state. Like, yeah, and I don't, I would love to see it done like that today, and I think it would be very much because steadily, literally doesn't have to worry about balance the load. They just have to worry about
Worry about balancing the load here.
that's gonna be out.
It's talking about pricing, right? So when you're having appliances, your water heater knows, so I'm not gonna turn on. It's expensive. Close for all Joe's.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Sort of safety, so much other stuff. Right direction. It's only for yourself, for sure. That's a different story. Then if the utility, to say it's got a balance there with energy from you, then it must be able to flow both directions.
Virtual power plants already a thing,
Oh,
so that's basically covers that.
virtual power plant.
So virtual power plants is where you, which that could be a battery in my house, it could be a and give control of that to an aggregator
Yeah,
who can then add or add supply to the grid or and to the grid when it is appropriate based on the load.
Yeah.
So you can one line in Texas last week.
I'm not talking about that.
But
I probably did it.
Just, you know, either.
we're not very bottom of the list. On the volunteers, at the utilities. This, we talk about, what are we interested in? You will notice that emissions reduction is not on this list. I think utilities are beginning to get on talking about that. But it's not up there, we, reliability and affordability. And so what we agreed to do was to work together on an event to promote the provisions of the Inflation Reduction Act for for the utilities, and they provided for them. And one of the things we did was just to rewire an American for this planning sheet. So, what makes sense? Here are some of the things on use, we talked about rewiring. Yeah, we're going to one of the conferences where rewiring was the reason here and the sales conference. So this little checklist, has a nice little image at the top, and then a lot of things. This is not completely tied to the IRA benefits, but it's a really good tool about all the ways they might increase efficiency and electrification. Pages 3, 4, and 5, and the whole thing. But it, some of this might be completely might be irrelevant in some homes, but it just gets people thinking about all the ways that they might have more efficiency. I just kind of love that they have a clothes drying where I'm or plus, that's one of the options. Only common sense. Right? So, clothes drying. Things to relate to the permissions and inflation. And it's not very close for the ideas. This is on their main page. The calculator here, anyone who wants to can provide a little information about their house, where it is, and then it'll tell you when rebates and tax credits would be available in your area. Well, it's so it's yeah. Thank you. One of, had a number of meetings. Actually, one of the things that led to this first event that we did together was in Madison, we have the clean energy resource teams. It's part of a kind of a partnership between Extension and some other significant grants. Right, grant. That money to all this post these events. I'll be part of that. The city said, yeah, we'll be part of that. We did the grant. And I was about to the grant. And he said, let's just talk. What do we need to do? And they decided they could host a meeting and they could buy the cookies. They could print some materials. Don't need any money. Actually, we're talking about it. In the Inflation Reduction Act, tax credits, which are available. It's that's like, well, they're probably available. But you can make use of them because of tax ability. The rebates are being organized state by state. And so I'm hoping to have their rebate program ready to go sometime in 2025. How about other states? Anyone know how I was on theirs?
Well, they just.
Like, so, well, from my point of view, even a state that's doing it, and probably doing it in a pretty good effort, it's still. I, I didn't can't look. That's the question.
There's something. They technically. There's.
August 16th. And to accept.
They don't respond and don't something. Okay.
I understand they didn't notify them that they.
And,
When they do it.
yeah, it'll probably be. Well, it's not a lot. Minnesota already received about before once rebate that being for $70 million. So that's a lot of money that gets invested in homes and buildings in the state. And I think I mean, first of all, I think it's a really inefficient way. Like, recognize that, right, these subsidies. Sure, they're very helpful, but it's not enough. So it's a really hard way to get the initial reduction before next year. Every single one of you have to make choices in your own lives about what you're gonna do. You have to make a plan, you have to make. Find a contractor, you have to get that work underneath. So. There's a lot of caveats. In my mind, it didn't. Sort of that efficiency of this, well. It's a time opportunity for homeowners to make some. And. Take the money, and. Have clear air in your home. Contribute to the solutions. For climate change.
I think one thing that happens. People. They put it in windows. Yeah, so we do,
Even as, like those tax rates. To the rebates that are coming. Yes.
but I didn't have. I did not.
Yeah.
Because. Television and can't come to life.
Yes.
Solar. So loud, charts.
Yeah.
Like, actually, can. Dogs did. They were the process. That week was.
And you. One second for you. Actually.
Yes. Yeah, that's individuals, but some non-profit organizations, units of government, including school districts. School, it's like a. No, it's money. No, you just pay your bills. Yeah. You used to have to kind of a sponsor. Now with that direct pay. Get a lot of money. Yeah.
15.
Really worthwhile to dig into, and add up. My, electric residential rebates. And some down offer, and their condition too. You have a rebate on your electric return. Anytime they're connected to their load control system, right? So they're gonna. Run the schedules, and you can charge the car. But it's a heck of a good rate. I don't know what it is. I think it's there's 2,000 or 3,000. You know,
It was penny a month.
yeah.
Drive for.
Yeah. And charge it, so. Then you go. Inflation rate check, you still have. Still have some cost to. I guess you have to report what you have locally before. The reports. But you can't get the same doctors rebated to you, but you can cover additional costs. So. I guess my point here is that it's complicated, and I think the only way is. The door spreads, and people. Do the work themselves, and that's what we need. In this future. The only way, the other way is. Yes, that's very clear, and that's one thing that the utilities pay a lot of attention to. both Bell County Electric and Undersell Power have. They work with other people to do this training. So that is a really important piece that they do. And customers can also be part of the educating content. The flyer for the event that we ended up co-hosting, the Bell County Electric hosted it at their facility. Again, the energy resource teams and cities that they help the commission. And we really wanted people to tell their own stories. We had people who put in solar, put in geothermal, put in air source heat pumps, put in partial etc. So there must have been some areas people who had shared their own stories, including a couple of new builds, a couple of that the CCL began after the event. And we're talking about doing an event kind of like this again, but maybe this year it'll be in conjunction with the Builders Association in the region. But that's one of the ways we're really getting contractors and subcontractors in. I'll try to like to bust out there and have a lot of examples. But that talking about emissions change. Maybe I should practice talking like human before I get into some of the things. As soon as we they focus on the common ground of efficiency and electrification, which will be cleaner, right? Which will be like we're getting the benefits that we want. We're just not putting climate that we talked about this. And there we were last year. And we're happy. So, are there other questions or comments or I just if you're how many of you are you interested in working with your mom and especially if I'm sorry. My perception that rural electrical ops and municipals are easier to work with because they're so local, but maybe the investor balls are really easy to work with on promoting this. Yeah. 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 Well, I really like the people that, both, in both cases, there's a staff person, they'll try to be electric that are focused on conservation programs. So those are people that make sense of first. So this is British last year in North Winds. Oh, it's yes.
Oh, yes, yes.
Like this same meeting, 1 year.
They're always they can any smith in the midst. So you're going that's wrong. We yeah. And they do a lot. They yeah. It's I will say it's good practice. And listening and finding that common ground. I mean, if you want to work together on a project.
Small educated contractors. I got 5 quotes for an air source heat pump.
Yeah.
Locally, and it was like, I was the first person in the press. Nothing of the utility programs and was educating them.
Yeah.
It was like, there's confidence yet. I can't get what I want from anybody.
Go.
We are the page, there's a. If you look at what they talk about, air source heat pumps, there's a sort of a guide for working with contractors. Being fit, when you. Yeah, well, at that event, at County Electric, one of the who presented was a company that sells a lot of like heat pumps, a lot of that equipment to contractors, installers. So it, we're maybe something like that. Like they don't manufacture them, but they they're like a trade, and they do. So that fellow talked a lot about what a learning purpose is for. And be sure that you're asking for. He's trying to make sure the contractors know what's done. And as customers, be sure you're asking for what you need.
Couple points. Thank for talking to the utility. One. Think about, let's say we had a carbon price.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah. I was at a carbon price 3 years.
yeah,
But all of the practical problems that we're discussing are still practical problems. You move price, it becomes more urgent because then people are having a their electricity and they may get a carbon refunds. Rate goes up.
Yeah.
Because of it, and so a lot of the practical problems that we're working through, it's a good thing we're working through them a little bit before we have a carbon. Right? Because if you raise the carbon price and there's alternative where there's no vendors to provide them, people will wait promise you about that. I know them in the chat. But some people will have higher bills and some people will. I get really angry when it costs me, $18 to fill out my car, or I need to pay, an electrical bill of $40 a month, right? People who are spending 3 or 4 times. This practical stuff is painful. I don't like it, but it is really important to have people knowledgeable working through that because whether it's a carbon price or not, it's gotta happen. The other thing I want to say is, rural electric co-ops do occasionally say to people, this is what, when I was in the legislature, their lobbyists said, trying to educate rural electric co-ops, we are creatures to government. Right? We do what they were created by the government.
yeah,
They are given direction on what the government needs. If the government changes what they want, it doesn't mean that they need to oppose that change. They need to do it. What we really want is for utilities to lead the transition.
Yeah.
Right. And so as you think about this, that's the goal. And there are a couple ways to do it. One is they can internally assume it would be better. We have some progressive party leaders. Add solar and this. That's what we want them to do. The government can also tell them to do. It's structured the policy so that that's what they want to do. It would have been so much easier for me with my church if I could just call up the utility and say, hey, utility, we want to go solar. Can you arrange that for us? It wasn't on, it was one lease. It's their fault.
yeah, really, I think all of those comments, both the consultations, be practical, really good advice. And one of our company is one of the places where carbon capture and storage. It's one of the leaders. If this all happens after millions, 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 millions of dollars, then it's check. It might be installing the biggest carbon in the country. So that gives me a clue, right? That maybe we don't want to talk about this, but they see. If they talk about carbon, what we're gonna look like in a carbon constrained world, right? So I probably made it sound like they're not talking about it at all. I'm not kidding. But yes, so it's some direction, and you just let me that those big appropriations to Dakota and to Basin and to Great River Management and yes.
Yeah.
So basically, country budget change is we're gonna give you some money to help you make this change. Or we can get back to Scott battery. You know,
On sick, these conversations, yeah. You know. Conversation, I'll do it. Um,